Hello class 8. Today we will study the impact of British rule on India. The conquest of India by the British has a great impact on India. It brought remarkable changes in the cultural, social and educational setup. The administrative structure of British India was designed and developed to serve the British interest. The main emphasis was placed on the maintenance of law and order so that the trade with India and exploitation of its resources could be carried out without disturbance. The British domination of India brought about many fundamental changes in the economic and social life of the people. New forms of production, consumption, social classes and cultural movements emerged during this period. India became a major market for British goods and a source of cheap raw materials for British factories. Before the coming of the British, Indian market were self-sufficient village communities. Indian villages were self-sufficient village communities. Their only relation with the government was of paying revenue. Village society consisted of people of different professions: the peasants, the carpenters, the potters, the weavers, the priests, the artisans, etc., based on simple division of labor. The British rule led to the breakdown of self-sufficient village economy. The British appointed their own officials to collect revenue in cash instead of kind. So, farmers began to produce cash crop which had a high demand in the market. The village cottage industry was ruined because cheap machine made goods flooded the market. Disappearance of Indian rulers, courts and nobility gave a big blow to handicraft because they were their main customers. The Jagirdari system was introduced by Warren Hastings for collection of land revenue. According to this, land revenue was to the highest bidder for the period of 5 years. This system led to the exploitation of farmers. The British needed revenue to pay for their administration, wars and expansions, etc. Land revenue was the major source of revenue. The British introduced new land revenues like permanent settlement, Roytwari system and Mahalwari system in India. These new land revenue system disposed a number of peasants from their land due to different causes. The British needed revenue to pay for their administration. Land revenue was the major source of revenue. The land revenue which was introduced during that period was the permanent settlement system, the Roytwari system and the Mahalwari system. Lord Cornwallis introduced the permanent settlement system in 1793 in Bengal and Bihar. Land was given to zamindars on a permanent basis. They became owner of land in their zamindari. The revenue was fixed and had to be paid in cash by the zamindars who collected it from peasants. If the zamindars failed to pay his dues, the land was confiscated. The zamindar's right of ownership became hereditary and transferable. The actual cultivators became tenants. The permanent settlement created a new powerful class of zamindars who were the supporters of British rule. Under this system, the peasant suffered, the zamindar benefited and became loyal to the British. The company's revenue was secure, but they could not increase it. Now, let us understand about the Rotwari system. The Rotwari system was introduced by British officers Reed and Thomas Munro, who recommended that settlement should be made directly with the actual cultivators. This settlement was made with the roids or cultivators. The land revenue was fixed for 30 years and the cultivators got the right of ownership of land. This system was introduced in Madras and Bombay presidencies in 1823. Now, let us understand what was Mehalwari system. It was introduced in parts of Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, northwest provinces and Punjab. The revenue settlement was made village by village or estate, that was called Mahal, by state with the landlords or head of the families. In Mehalwari's areas also, the land revenue was periodically revised. These new land system disposed a number of peasants from their lands due to different causes. As a result, landless laborers had to seek employment outside the village. It disturbed the ruler's setup by breaking the structure of self-sufficiency of the village. The new systems introduced by British created a new class of zamindars with new rights. The zamindars had to give fixed revenue to the company, which they extracted from the farmers. The farmers' condition became miserable under these settlements. They were forced to produce crops like indigo, cotton, jute, poppy and sugarcane. The farmers' condition became miserable, so they started producing crops like indigo, cotton, jute, poppy, sugarcane instead of food crops like wheat and rice. Whatever the type of land settlement introduced by British, the peasants were the ultimate sufferers. Famine occurred frequently during the British rule. Lakhs of people were affected by them between 1860 to 1870. 6 years later, famine occurred in Madras, Mysore, Hyderabad, Uttar Pradesh and in Punjab. 47 lakhs people died of famine in 1896 to 1897. The worst famine occurred in Bengal in 1943 during the Second World War. The main reasons were failure of monsoon, lack of facilities for quick transport of good and grain, poverty of farmers, and the farmers were forced to grow commercial crops which led to the shortage of food grain. In the 18th century, among all the industries of earlier times, the textile had a place of pride in India. There were craftsmen who were usually patronized by kings and nobles. So, these craftsmen also produce luxury goods for the traders who sold them to other countries. Goods that were in high demand in European markets were wool, silk, cotton textile and Dhaka muslin. The important centers of these goods in India were Dhaka, Banaras, Lucknow, Multan, Ahmedabad, Madurai, Surat, etc. The villagers made beautiful vessels, ornaments and other objects of gold, silver, copper, steel and iron. Thus, Indian trade, industries and handicrafts were in flourishing state before coming of the English. The British changed the scenario of Indian trade and industry. The nobles and princes who patronized these industries disappeared and the artisans had no one to buy their products. The British wanted to promote their own products and goods. They wanted India to become a big supplier of raw materials for their industries and remain an open market for their finished goods. This policy of British systematically ruined the Indian economy. Heavy duties were levied on Indian clothes exported to England. These goods became costlier and could not compete with the machine-made goods of England. The policy of one-way free trade was followed by the British. The British protected and promoted their own textile. They paid no duties on textiles sent to India and imposed heavy duty on import from India. Drain of wealth theory was developed by nationalist thinkers and economists, according to which it was the transfer of resources and wealth from India to England, for which India did not get appropriate economic or material return. Dadabhai Naoroji, a great nationalist, raised this issue in his book Poverty and Un-British Rule in India, which was published in 1871. The British consequently spent a large part of the taxes and income they received from the Indian people not in India but in Britain. The drain of wealth from Bengal began in 1757 when the company's servant began to carry home immense fortunes extorted from Indian rulers, jamindars, merchants and common people. In 1765, the company acquired the Diwani in Bengal and thus gained control over its revenue. The company, even more than its servants, soon directly organized the drain. It began to purchase Indian goods out of the revenue of Bengal and to export them. These purchases were known as investments. Thus, through investments, Bengal's revenue was sent to England. The actual drain was even more, as the large part of the salaries and their incomes of English officers and the trading fortunes of English merchants also found their way to England. The British government paid attention to improve the means of transport and communication. They built a network of railways in India, telegraph lines were laid and roads were built. The roads were built and the railways were made. All this was done to promote British commercial need. It was done to speed up transportation of raw materials to ports and port towns and to bring the finished or manufactured good from the ports quickly to the market all over India. The telegraph lines helped in sending message easily and quickly. The new roads, railways, ports and telegraphs were also meant to speed up movement of military supplies and goods. The first railway line was opened between Bombay and Thane in 1853. Lord Dalhousie is credited with the establishment of railway. In 1853, Calcutta was linked with the coalfield of West Bengal. In 1856, a railway line joined Madras to Arakoram. All major raw materials producing areas were gradually linked with major ports to make transportation of raw materials easier and quicker. All areas which were important for military points of view were also linked. By 1905, the network of 28,000 miles of railway lines were being laid. Through the railway they built, though the railways they built do benefit the British, it benefited the Indians also. Travel and transportation became quicker, safer and cheaper. In times of famine, food grains could be supplied to affected areas quickly. Railways also helped in the growth of industries as raw materials could be supplied to the factories. The introduction of railway helped Indians in different cases of religions to travel together. They help the different castes and religions to travel together and understand each other's feelings.